Hey everybody, welcome. So 2025 is going to be a year where there's going to be a mad rush for software developers and software engineers to create products in the AI space. And these are these AI tools that you see advertised all over social media. And so in this video, what I'm going to do is outline the top 10 skills that you're going to need to know to build beginning, intermediate, and advanced AI tools for your end users. Now, if you're a software engineer, there's going to be certain of these skills that you're going to be super easy for you to learn. If you're a front-end developer, there's going to be other skills that are really easy for you to learn, but some other stuff that's more complicated. Now, the nice thing about this is that AI is actually here to help. So if you're not a good front-end developer, ChatGPT actually is. And if you're not good at writing APIs, ChatGPT, again, really is. So I'm going to talk you through the top 10 skills for building beginning, intermediate, and advanced AI applications. So the first thing I'm going to talk about are the 4 skills that you need to build these beginning level AI applications. So most of the applications that you see when you see an LLM for law or an LLM for real estate or an LLM for diet, in most cases what they are is they're using the ChatGPT API to make API calls to ChatGPT, and then they're formatting the output. So the first thing that you're going to need to learn is how to use and build APIs. Now, APIs stand for Application Programming Interfaces. The OpenAI or ChatGPT API is actually one of the easiest APIs there is to use. So it doesn't matter if you're going to call it from Python, call it from PHP, call it from Java, or even JavaScript. It is a very easy API to learn and master. And that's going to be the first thing that you're going to need to learn, because most of beginning level application development is basically putting together prompts and then sending them using the API to ChatGPT or another LLM and then getting the response back, formatting it, and presenting it to your end user. So that's why you're going to need to learn to use the API. Now, as you're building more and more complex apps, you're going to want to learn to create your own APIs, because you're going to start interfacing with other tools. You're not just going to be interfacing alone with OpenAI. You might be interfacing with other APIs. And what you're going to want to be able to do is bundle your APIs together and create your own API set of endpoints for your application. So again, number 1, learning the OpenAI API, and then number 2 is learning to build your own APIs. Now, you can skip number 2 for now. That's really going to become important as we get down into more of the advanced and intermediate type of topics. So then the second thing you're going to need to do, excuse me, and this is based on you're going to need to know how to use an LLM. So number 2 is prompt engineering. So if you are creating an application that is going to improve the output of ChatGPT for your end user. So let's say you're building an application for real estate. Okay, so you're building a real estate application that maybe runs on a desktop or runs on a mobile phone, and you want to be able to ask ChatGPT the questions in the right way. So in order to do that, you need to know how prompting works. So you need to know system prompts, and then you need to know, prompts like, please answer this as a software engineer, or please answer this as a real estate agent, to use the vocabulary of your target audience. So what you need to do here is you need to practice. You need to learn actually how to use just ChatGPT as a product itself, to know when to upload documents, when to give it system prompts, and then you take what you learn in your prompt engineering and you're going to use your API to call ChatGPT or another LLM. So again, number 1 is how to use APIs. Number 2 is to do the prompt engineering, so you're putting the right prompts into your API. And then the third thing you're going to need is a front-end development tool. Now, if you are going it alone, React or Angular or Vue are probably the top 3 front-end development languages you can use right now. I am actually a fan of Angular because I'm used to working in large corporate environments. So Angular is a much more structured language. But I will tell you that ChatGPT and LLMs in general write React code very well. So even if you're not a front-end developer, once you've learned this prompt engineering part of things in step 2, You can get a lot of help building that front-end application using ChatGPT or using Quen or one of the other models that are really good at coding. So again, now you've got your front-end development tool. So your combination of your front-end development tool, your prompt engineering, so you create good prompts, and your API to send this data to ChatGPT and get the response back, that's really the basics of how to build a very, very simple app. Now, the next thing you're going to need to know is you're going to need to have a database. So if you're creating an application for your end users, you're going to need to be able to store their prompts that you've put in, keep track of who your user accounts are, and do all that kind of thing. So you're going to need a LAMP stack. So you're going to need, when a LAMP stack stands for Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So you're not actually going to need the full LAMP stack, but you're at least going to need probably MySQL, and then I always interface with MySQL using PHP. So you're going to need, let's just say, a LAMP stack that you can use to interact with a database. So at this point, you build a front-end application that has its own database attached to it that uses prompt engineering to format the questions that they need and then send it to the LLM to get the response. So those four things together are the basics of what you need to do to create the simplest of AI applications or AI tools. So if what you're looking to do is just, maybe you work in the real estate market and you want to create some really nice real estate question and answer chatbots, those are the four things that you need for that. But now when we start to get into the more intermediate and advanced topics, you really want to start to get away from using ChatGPT or using Claude or using Gemini or using Grok as your back-end tool that the APIs call. So what you're going to need then is you're going to need the ability to run LLMs locally. Okay, so when I say locally, that could be on your desktop or your laptop when you're doing development, or you need to push it into a data center. So for instance, there's a Docker container that you can drop Ollama in. So if you have your own server and you have your own LLM, and then that way you can make your application much more customized because now you're not at the mercy of ChatGPT and the way ChatGPT wants to answer questions. So once you've got your own local LLM, you can really start getting into some of the better things that you want to do. And the first thing that you're going to want to do, let's go back to our real estate application, is retrieval augmented generation. So let's say you're building that real estate app. Well, LLMs are trained on their data as of a certain point in time. So let's say you want to include real estate listings and you want to do a semantic search for real estate listings. Well, you're going to need to use retrieval augmented generation because those real estate listings need to be up to the second. You can't go back to these are the real estate listings that happen to be trained in 2023, the last time my LLM was updated. Retrieval augmented generation is a way for you to build an AI application that then can either go out to the internet and get data, or it can go into documents that you provide. So RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation, along with your local LLM, that is how you're getting started to build these intermediate level AI applications. So at this point, you've got an LLM, you've got a way to go out and search documents and search the internet, you've got a LAMP stack, you've got a database to work with, you've learned how to do prompting, you've got the API, and you're pretty much you're writing some really decent intermediate real-time AI applications. So one thing I need to stress when we're talking about building applications, custom applications for your user, is the more value you add to your application, the more valuable your application is going to be to the end user. So when you start integrating your local LLM and then your retrieval augmented generation, now you're starting to build applications that are unique. Just putting a front end on OpenAI is not you're not really adding a lot of value. To maybe your most simplistic or basic users, you're adding value there. But when you start to get into things like retrieval augmented generation, then you're starting to really add value. Now, the next place you can add value is with supervised fine-tuning or fine-tuning. Now, fine-tuning with a tool like Unsloth allows you to improve the quality of the output. What you're basically doing is you're giving the LLM additional training and telling it how you want your output formatted. Now, one common misconception is that supervised fine-tuning adds information or adds data to the LLM. Although that can happen, that is not what fine-tuning is all about. Fine-tuning is all about making the output more consistent and making the output of the LLM more targeted to your audience. Now, this is a big value add. ChatGPT is going to format the output the way it wants to format the output. By doing supervised fine-tuning on your own large language model that you've got, retrieval augmented generation, supervised fine-tuning, now you've got something that is very customized. So if you're building, let's say you're building the real estate application, your output from your LLM is going to be in the format that you teach it to be in. So if you're doing a legal application, you want to create data sets of this is the question that was answered, and this is how I want the prompt to output. So supervised fine-tuning is probably one of the biggest value adds you can do when you're creating your AI application. So then the next thing is vector embeddings. Now, vector embeddings are important because that really improves the quality of your retrieval augmented generation. So what you're doing in this case is you're taking common questions or common topics and you're vectorizing. You're making embeddings out of it. Large language models don't talk in English or French or Chinese or Japanese. They talk in vectors. They talk in numbers. So one of the things you want to be able to do to improve both your fine-tuning and your retrieval augmented generation are creating vector embeddings. So this, again, is now you're really, once you've gotten to the point of vector embeddings, now you're talking about really building these advanced applications. So again, the first four things, the learning APIs, having a front-end language, system prompting, those are creating basic applications. Retrieval augmented generation is really for the intermediate applications. And then now you're getting into fine-tuning and vector embeddings, and those are creating the advanced AI applications. Now, what goes along with this is having a proprietary data source. Now, everything in AI really needs to be open source, and that is coming down to the models. But what separates your application, your AI application, from other AI applications is the data that you've got, that you've embedded using vectors, you can pull up using retrieval augmented generation. If you're building a real estate application and you have the best data, you've created the best prompts, you've got the best proprietary data, and you've tuned it the best, that's going to give you the best application. Same thing if you're creating something for law, creating something for medicine. I'm working on a medical application where we've got 45,000 prompts that we work with to train or to fine-tune and vector embed so that we have very specific data that is proprietary to this application. So again, number 9 is really when you get this proprietary data and you get information that you're using inside of your model, now you're getting to that point where you've got a competitive edge. So number 10, which is probably the hardest of everything for all of us, is getting some marketing skills. And so once you've built this application, you need to get it out to the public so that the public knows it exists. So even though you might build the best application in the world, you're going to need to hire some marketing professionals to get it out there. So you can do this in 2 different ways. You can go into partnerships with influencers and people who have a decent either social media or marketing reach, or you can pay for it. So those are the two ways you can get your application out. But marketing is really one of the critical aspects to launching a new application, because better is not always the better application when it comes to selling it. So again, let me just review all these things. You need to know APIs so you can talk to the large language model. You need to know how to write good prompts so that you can get the model to pass back the information that you're looking for in a format that you're looking for. You need a front-end development tool like React, Angular, or Vue. You need to have a database like a MySQL database on a LAMP stack so that you can store proprietary information or information of your users. As you're getting more advanced, you're going to want to work with an LLM that you can do retrieval augmented generation with, and that you can do vector embeddings and supervised fine-tuning with. So, and then you're going to need a proprietary data source and marketing skills. So I hope that's a good outline for you of the things that you're going to need to develop decent AI tools for to sell in 2025. So I'll talk to y'all later.